What is up, guys? We are live here, Ohio State versus Purdue post-game chat here on Scarlet and Great. I'll give everybody just a minute to join in. Again, here, Ohio State versus Purdue live post-game chat. If we can get situated here and get some commenters, some guys rolling in, some fans of the Buckeyes or Purdue or whoever your team may be, and talk about who the game performance, what you liked, what you didn't like, and that kind of thing. As always, please subscribe to the channel. If you are not Chubba Wubba already in the house. OHIO, buddy. Thank you for joining us. We'll get a few guys in here, a few more people in here, and just kind of roll on what we thought that there. We went from 1 to 6 really quick inside of a minute. So it's probably time to get going. Ohio State with a dominant win over Purdue, although they were not dominant on both sides of the ball, right? Ohio State scored a ton of points on offense. Really, I would have liked to seen him punch it in again. I know the good sportsmanship thing, but I don't think the committee watches the games. I don't. I think they watch the conference championship games, and I think that's why you got to do well there because they all sit in the room and watch it. There's just too many to watch, right? So you can't watch them all. So they look at stats and they look at box score. I think you got to punch that one in. 66-31 looks a lot better than 59-31, although 59-31 looks dominant. And it also lets us off the hook like that David Bell dropped that touchdown pass and terrible coverage. You know, that should have been 38 points. Should have been 38 points the Buckeyes allowed. But at least since they don't watch the game, they didn't see that. They'll see the yardage we allowed. We'll see how many yards Purdue allowed, and we allowed, and they will see how many yards Ohio State allowed. I will pull it up here, pull up the score app maybe on my phone and see where we're at there, and see kind of where we are as far as a total defense team. This was not a good defensive performance. It's funny. The defense really showed out last week. The defense looked really, really good, right? The defense looked solid against Nebraska, the best I'd seen all year. I'm like, oh, they're turning the corner. And the offense decides, for whatever reason, and Nebraska is a lot better offensively than they are defensively. So I was like, wow, the defense stood out. That's really something. And then the offense decided not to show up for whatever reason. Okay, so you go against Purdue today that we know they have some playmakers on at Purdue. And they actually have a decent defense, 25th overall in total defense, meaning yards per game that they hold teams to. And Ohio State went absolutely off on that defense. Let's take a look at the total stats here a little bit, and go over the total stats and match up, et cetera here, and see kind of where we are. Okay, Ohio State, 29 first downs. This is not great. Purdue also 29 first downs. Third down efficiency. Ohio State allowed 50% third down efficiency. Again, it's not really good. It's okay-ish. You know, you want to hold teams less than 30. It's not as bad as say the first 3 quarters of the Penn State game when that was just like fire everyone bad. Then they rallied later. Fourth down efficiency, 1 for 2. Should be 2 for 2 for Purdue, but they dropped 1. 1 for 1 for Ohio State. We finally hit one. We were 4 for 7 on third downs. The offense was so explosive that it didn't need to convert a lot of third downs because you're, racking up your yardage on first and second down. Held Purdue to 91 rushing yards. Part of that, I think, is because they didn't run the ball a lot because they were behind by so much. Ohio State ran for 263 with 2 huge chunks coming from – actually, I think the Jackson Smith and Jigba one went down as a pop pass. But Garrett Wilson ripped a huge one. Travion Henderson ripped a huge one. Then Henderson was kind of bottled up the rest of the game, and Williams really strung along and ran well that last drive. Stroud threw for 361. Purdue's quarterback actually outthrew Stroud. He threw for 390. Again, there's our here's to you, defense, allowing 390 through the air again by the likes of Sean Clifford and whatever this guy's name was for Purdue. No sacks for the Buckeyes tonight. Not one. They didn't allow any. Did not get 1 sack. Not one. No interceptions by either team. Only 1 punt by the Buckeyes because, again, the offense is fine. It's electric. It's the best in the country. Purdue lost 2 fumbles. That was huge. The time of possession was almost identical. Ohio State won that, I think, with that last drive, but they're scoring so quick. I don't really care about that if we're scoring that quick. So what do you guys want to talk about? What do you guys want to talk about? Lindsay, you don't owe me an apology. We've let you down because we haven't been here as much as you would like, and we're here now. So Boilermakers played better than you thought they were. Jerry, their offense really didn't get slowed down except by their own mistakes. If their offense, I mean, look, if this was a high level, like good athlete team, if this was Alabama, I mean, they go for probably over 45 tonight, right? A lot of, drops, fumbles, that kind of thing that really hampered them. The yardage the defense gave up was disgusting. Again, last week they looked like they were much better. This looked like Kerry Combs' defense to me. Did it to you? This looked like Kerry Combs' defense except adding in zone. We were going soft in the red zone, bailing in the red zone. Gave up a lot of comeback routes, but, David Bell's just really good, and that's, Burke wasn't getting beat over the top. Look, I don't know why we're playing Seven Banks except in an absolute relief role. Do you guys agree? Comment below. Let me know. Yeah, Lindsay, I'm surprised that we beat this spread. I thought it would be 27-30 Buckeyes, honestly. I just want to know, do you guys think that Seven Banks shouldn't play on this team except in a rotational role? Or should we just try him back at free safety? Can't be worse, right, than what we're seeing now at free safety. It is baffling to me that we think Seven Banks is a viable option. We have Cam Brown and Denzel Burke on this team. I get it. They can't play every snap. You got to rotate them in, but it's whenever he's in, it's shocking, the drop off, right? Like Lindsay says, the offense and defense never click in the same game. And that's true. Like if this game could have easily been 66, 20, and that'd have been great. Shaw's backup can't be any worse than him. It's Marcus Hooker. So I wonder, maybe he actually can be worse. Also wonder if he's not in the doghouse. Scioto County, better drugs than any county. Trenton Bond says Scioto County, better drugs than any county. I wish I could get Trent or somebody in here. Trent, let me know if you want an invite to get in here and text me your email, and I'll try to send that one over while I'm doing all this and talking to people. So what do you guys think? Would you guys like to maybe see Seven Banks roll to free safety? I know it's hard to do that stuff. I'm over here just talking like it's a video game and you're just plugging and playing. But would you like to maybe see that change midseason? It's pretty bad, right? It's pretty bad. Offensively, though, how about Garrett Wilson? I mean, we knew he was great. It's really cool when a guy can shine exclusively in a game, because it's hard to shine on this team because Olave's there and he's fantastic. And Jackson Smith and Jigba's there and he's fantastic. And Travion Henderson's there and he's fantastic. It's hard to just shine as a solo skill position there, especially wide receiver on this team. And it was really nice that that Garrett could kind of remind people who may have forgotten how great he was, just how great he is. The O-line showed out tonight. I think they played better. I think they played much better than they did in years past. Running between the tackles is still an issue. I did think Jeremy Ruckert had a fantastic block on Karlaftis, who's a great defensive end, and he got called for a hold. I mean, Ruckert mauled that dude, and he got called for a hold. But I never like being that guy that talks about penalty. Bad calls, refs. I don't like being that guy. So I'm not going to harp on that. Really troubling that there is no sacks by this Buckeye defense, right? Granted, we only brought 3 and 4 a lot. You would like to see 4 guys get home sometimes, but again, they're getting double teamed because you're never bringing extra guys. It was that same Penn State dynamic. You bring 4. The 4 guys either get home or you give up a completion, and there's no in between. And there's just huge holes in the zone. These guys, I mean, we play a lot of zone defense and not very good at it. And I get it. When the quarterback has a lot of times, you're going to find a hole in the zone. You just are, right? And I thought the first touchdown was really well crafted by Purdue. They put a 4-on-3 situation. Hickman could have left one guy and allowed another to get a touchdown, or vice versa. So it's kind of a bind there. What do you guys think? What did you guys see? And please, if you haven't, please subscribe to this channel. We don't get any monetization off these post-game chats and pre-game chats, but they do help the channel if you subscribe and get our subscriber number up. And I do apologize that I've not been on here. This is something you can do. You guys want to do something cool? I did not get a response to either of my texts to Coach Zach Smith this week, so we could do Coach in the Bullet. So tweet at him right now, at Coach Zach Smith. Why are you ignoring Johnny's text? Please tweet at him. I'll put it in a banner, exactly what you got to say, and no confusion, right? So at Coach Zach Smith, why are you ignoring Johnny's? Sorry, got my caps lock going here. And he will be like, what? So please tweet at Coach Zach Smith on Twitter. Why are you ignoring Johnny's text? I would imagine he's just super busy, right, with watching it, doing his own podcast. They're cranking out a lot of content. Menace Sports Podcast. Check it out. Also, I don't know if they're cranking out YouTube, but they do at some point. So check them out and subscribe on YouTube. He's probably trying to do that and be a good dad, but I don't care about that. He should answer my text. So at Coach X Smith, why aren't you answering Johnny's text? Moving back though, guys. Let's see, Bella at over 100 yards, but they were non-impactful. Yeah, there was that big drop. They had a few kind of chain movers, a lot of between the 20 stuff, right? Look, Ohio State defense got to get better. This is not going to cut it. And you can't be that bad at pressuring the quarterback and that bad on fourth or third down, right? Like you can't just give up 50% all day. You got to do better. You got to at least get down to like 40%, right, on that. O-line balled out today. I forgot they had really good D linemen. Yeah, they had a good D lineman. I still think we have trouble getting in between the tackles, right? Running in between the tackles, but I guess you're going to have that sometimes when you're playing a lot of tackles who aren't true guards, who you're shifting them over to guards. So what else? What do you guys think? Did you guys think that CJ kind of looked like the CJ, the guy that's really talented, who makes some mistakes but really plays well and has a lot of talent, just needs to clean some stuff up? Because that's kind of what I saw. I saw him try to run it once, and it was a disaster. He turned a 2-yard gain into like a 3-yard loss so he could avoid contact. It was pretty bad. But, that's kind of what you're going to have with him. Let's see. We got a good comment here. Defense gave up too many points, but I also thought it would be a low-scoring game, so I can't be too critical. They gave up too many points and too many yards. I really think that. I think Lindsay says yes, same thing, that you saw some good stuff, not great stuff out of CJ, but some really good stuff. Why can't they play consistent like this? Who's that, Lindsay? Is that the offense? I do have a question. So last week I was under the impression that people on Twitter can call plays better than Ryan Day. This is what I want to talk about. Ryan Day called a masterful game today. And it wasn't, you want to balance. So, I think there were 260 rushing yards, most of them on big plays, 360 passing. This team's better at passing than it is running. It just is. Last week we ran the ball a little bit against Nebraska, and it wasn't working. So I don't know what you want them to do. Just ram the ball into the line of scrimmage over and over. Try an outside run when Paris Johnson gets knocked on his butt and it just gets shut down. I get it. I want a balanced attack too. But what do you want Ryan Day to do? You line up, right? He sees the defense. He knows if he runs the ball, it's likely a short gain. If he passes the ball, he sees this or this route open. What do you want him to do? You want him to run it just so you can say we were balanced? Right? What do you want him to do? Not call the play he has dialed up? Not call the play? And then he said there was bad execution. And you look, The O-line was getting blown up. Bad execution. Marvin Harrison lets one bounce off his face mask, 2-minute drill. Bad execution. Drop pass. Bad execution. CJ not taking the green grass and just scrambling out and getting some yardage, putting them behind the change. That's bad execution. I don't love it when coaches just blame players, but look, Ryan Day, it's not like we're talking about Matt Barnes, Kerry Combs here. It's Ryan Day's mind we're criticizing. And look, I get it. I'm sure he wanted to run the ball better too, but at a certain point, you can't just say run the ball. There were a few more times he probably should have ran it. I'm all on with you on that. But I'm just like, why are we sitting here saying run the ball, run the ball? Look what he did today. He drew up dime after dime after dime. So, that one I think to JSN was so wide open and so wonderfully crafted. It's still Ryan Day, guys. It's still Ryan Day. Still the best offensive mind in the game. We can't just ram the ball into the line of scrimmage when the offensive line is bad at when the box shifts at identifying who they're blocking. When they're bad at identifying, you can't fix it mid-game. You kind of have to go to plan B, right? But today we got back to, I thought Mayan Williams looked, I wonder, is Mayan Williams a better every down between the tackles, move the chains back than Trey, and Trey's just a better home run hitter, right? Like, Trey's obviously going to hit the home runs. But Purdue had to know Ohio State was going to run the ball that last drive, right? And Mayan just bounce, cut back, extra yards, bounce, cut back, extra yards. None of the plays were like phenomenal. I don't think he had a run over 7 yards the whole drive. We walked right down the field. And that's something we haven't seen with Henderson. Henderson gets you two different types of runs, 3 yards or 70 yards, it seems like, lately, right? Somebody says, yeah, Mayan Williams is better than between the tackles by far. It's obviously Trey's the better running back, right? But it just seems like, obviously Mayan's probably a little stronger. He's older. He's thicker. Trey's not a slight guy by any means, but for whatever reasons, it's not working to where he's not running for 6, 7, 12, 3, 7, 3, 9. It's 3, 3, 70, 3, 3, 7, that kind of thing. And it's not 70 that often anymore. So I just wonder, Mayan Williams seems to really have his groove in this offense, and that's a head scratch. Yeah, he has a little wiggle. And of course, Trey does too, but he has a little wiggle and can get to the boundary. It's like Mayan is just a hair smaller and not as stout as Teague, and he's a hair slower and not as fast and quite as wiggle as Henderson. So it's a really good mix, right? It's a really good bowling ball mix that he has in there, and he can bounce back really well. But what did you guys think? Or do you guys kind of see my point about the criticism of Ryan Day? And it's like, well, what other choice does he have? Now I do think he should get the play in quicker sometimes. You guys let me know, yes or no. Are you happy with the play calling? Comment that most of you probably watching on your phone, but you can still comment in, let us know. It helps the channel. As always, subscribe, but let me know what you think of the play calling. Are you satisfied? Do you think the offense is back on track? I want to look at total yards from the offense. 624. Put this in perspective. 624 yards. Purdue is 25th in the country in how they allow yardage on defense. That's not bad. That's a decent defense. Top 25 on defense. They allow something like 350 a game. It's a decent in today's game. Ohio State took the average and give him another 300. He literally gave him another 300. So what do you guys think? Trent Bond says very happy with the play calling. What's going on with Teague? Why has he been out? I don't know. He was out, I think, 2 games, back 1 and out again. This is odd. It's odd. I wonder if there's a lingering injury or what's going on. And this was early. Remember, Henderson had missed practice, concussion, I think, and then some other things. That's really odd. Let's see here we got another comment about the play calling. Bill, the play calling seems like it is strictly to get Stroud extra experience in low-risk games. You got to think you got to protect a young quarterback, and that's what I think he is probably trying to do. What do you think? JSN said it's 6. I don't know. It always gets me when you seen 6 and Purdue barking while they're getting dog walked. And I forget what happened on that play. What was it? Just an out route or something that was completed. The guy on 6 didn't do much, right? And then he's just barking. And I'm like, I get it. You're a competitor and you're getting your tail kicked. So you want to let the other guy know, like, hey, I'm still here. Dude. But what could you possibly say to trash talk a team that hung up 600 on you, right? 600. Oklahoma goes down. Yes, they did. I think what JSN said was, hey, young man, let us keep things cordial between you and I and my colleague and I. And if you would like, we shall discuss this over a nice brunch tomorrow. I think that's probably what he said. Rumor is Bryson Shaw broke somebody's finger. He'd have to make contact first for that to happen. He'd have to make contact for him to have done this to my hand. So that's that. The play calling was good, but they come in so slow. Yeah. I don't have a problem with checking and changing the play at the line based on what they're doing, but it's got to be quicker. One of my friends pointed this out. Why after TV timeouts and after breaks are we having to burn a timeout? Or why are we having to hurry to get snap off after a break? It's like we get, it's a break, and then we get like 2 lackadaisical. Let me know. Did you guys comment below? Did any of you guys tweet at Zach Smith? Let me know. Lindsay, you better have, because you're my warrior. You're always there. Trent, you better have. Bill, let's see. Did anybody comment at Zach? Did anybody let him know, hey, Zach, why are you ignoring Johnny's text? My phone hasn't went off from him seeing them yet. So let me know if you have done this yet. And please subscribe to the channel if you have not, because that really helps us out. Oklahoma took another L today. You have it in draft. Lindsay, send. Your thumbs ain't broke? Send it, Lindsay. Send. You can do it. OU takes an L today. Biggest lie in football. How many of you out there, raise your hands, show of hands, believe the statement and have said the statement, you are what your record says you are? Let's see them. Okay, about half of you. Swat yourself in the hand. That's false. That's one of the biggest lies in football. If you guys don't listen to Josh Pate, you should, at Late Kick Josh on Twitter. I'm not affiliated with the show at all. So it's CBS and 247 Sports. Really good, really respectful show, family friendly. I think he should be in Columbus. He goes to one big game, just like college big noon kickoff, just like game day does. He picks a game. I think he should be in Columbus next weekend, as should my wife and I. I'm really hoping to be there. So come to Zach Smith's tailgate, charging on Lane across from the Varsity Club. I believe that's Lane and Tuttle. Lane Avenue and Tuttle. You'll see it kind of right there tucked away. But yeah, you'll see us all there. I think Josh Pate will be there. But anyways, back to the original point. You are what your record says you are. No, you're not. There's so many different reasons why that's wrong. Josh Pate he has his on his show I listened to. He says several things, are big lies in football. Oklahoma was not some great undefeated team. The committee did a pretty good job at acknowledging that and saying, "Hey, you're number 8, even though you're undefeated." Because why? 1-score win against unranked teams. 1-score win against unranked teams, like 4 or 5 of them. It was a 12-point game against Kansas, but that score is deceptive. Kansas is really, really, really bad. So you're not what your record says you are. If your record what you said you are, then all you Buckeye fans would have to admit Cincinnati is better. Oklahoma is better. UTSA is better. Coastal Carolina better, right? You are not what your record says you are because of strength of schedule, and how you win matters, how you lose matters. And here's this. Teams change over time, right? Texas A&M today is not the same Texas A&M team that you saw at the beginning of the season, right? So you have to take that into consideration. Texas A&M is probably top 10 team as far as power ranking right now on who I think they would beat. I don't think there's 10 teams in the nation that I would favor over Texas A&M if they played tomorrow. So That is why you are what your record is a lie. Bill says that's much more the case in the NFL than college. Yes. And it's probably not 100% true in the NFL, but yes, in the NFL, because the difference between the first team and the 32nd team is probably something like the first team and the 12th team in college. So, yes, your record is much more indicative of how good you are in the NFL. And sometimes in the NFL, people just have bad days, and it's weird. But, yes, that's more true in the NFL. Before the Baylor game, OU's opponents were 31-51 on the year. That's right. Everybody go follow, what is it, Bond Edits 15 or something like that on Twitter. Had this really good thing about Oklahoma's, who they've played, and Ohio State's who they've played, and Cincinnati and all these other schools. And he showed that, look, Oklahoma's not played good teams, and it's not like they've been. Look, if they were playing bad teams and winning by 20 plus each game, okay, you're legit. They'd be a top 4 team, but that's not the case. It's the same with why a lot of people think Ohio State's better than Oregon. There's head to head, but also look at all these close games that Oregon's involved in, and you say, okay, look, that wasn't the same team week 1 or week 2, week 3 as it is now. Although the defense certainly didn't look so great today. So, can't spell Caleb without an L. Whew, that's right. Yeah, that Heisman thing kind of just went up in smoke, huh? Wonder what that did for C.J. Stroud's Heisman talk. Look, when you watch the film, you can tell looking at the kid, you're just like, this is not a Heisman kid. But he may be one day. He may be one day, just not this year. But, man, he sure puts up the stats. I think 360 again today, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. Most troubling thing, I think, is, 481 yards allowed by the Ohio State Buckeyes. 481. You want to be, and look, everybody says you don't need to be a dominant defense to win a title nowadays. Georgia's doing it like the Renaissance way, the opposite of the way people win nowadays. You don't have to have a Georgia-level defense, though, to win a title. If you have a great offense, you can be top 25. You can basically have a Purdue-level defense, maybe a little bit better athletes, and win a title. Look at Alabama, not a great defense, but they've quietly crept up to like number 12 overall. And in total defense, Ohio State is a step back. So you want to average, if you want to give up 350 to 380 yards a game playing good teams, that's fine. You can work with that. Ohio State gave up 480 today. Not great. Not great. Let's see what we got here. Bryson Shaw's an Ohio State defensive performance against Purdue. Some of us didn't do our jobs, myself included. We'll get those things corrected. No, raise your hand if you believe that. Yeah, no one raised their hand. Have you heard of Oklahoma's amazing backup Spencer Rattler? Someone should get that kid a Heisman. Well, I guess both guys over at Oklahoma are winning a Heisman. What do you do? How do you split the trophy between 2 guys on the same team that play the same position, right? And it's not running back or wide receiver where you get more than one guy on the field. It's both quarterback. That's all. They got all kinds of cool stuff going over there at Oklahoma. Remember when Oklahoma fans got mad once when I said that Ryan Day was the best offensive mind in college football? It's kind of true. Lincoln Riley's great. Ryan Day's the best. All right, what else you guys got before we get out of here? We're only 28 minutes in. We don't need to rush, but some of you have been quiet tonight. So any stats or anything you want to know, anything you want to discuss in particular, please. I don't know why you guys aren't tweeting at Zach Smith, but I really hope you are. Let's see. Do you guys think that next week, right? What do you think? I wonder what the spread is against Michigan State. Michigan State looked good, right? I want to deal with this. Ryan Day's play calling has been kind of slack this season. How? It's the number 1 offense in college football. People are dropping passes. That's not a play call issue. O-linemen are letting defensive tackles through. It's not a play call issue. There's no play you can call when a tackle runs free. What's the call? What would you rather them do? You say run the ball more. They were averaging 3 yards a carry against Nebraska. Is it Ryan Day's fault? The ball hit Marvin Harrison Jr. in the face mask? I just want to know, like, what else do you want him to do? He has been a little slow getting the play in. I will, Caleb's, ooh, that name sounds kind of like a racist name. I guess I'll answer the question anyway. How did they run the ball today? They ran the ball okay. Pretty good, actually. Not as well as they threw the ball. They threw the ball for about 100 more yards. And when they did run the ball really well, it was basically two big plays. One to a wide receiver and one to Travion Henderson. Nice running by Mayan Williams, though, in at the end of the game. You check this out. Mayan Williams outgained Travion Henderson, even with the big play, and he outgained him in average yards per attempt. That's pretty crazy. So it looks like something like 270 some yards rushing. And 50 of those go to Garrett Wilson on one play, another one to my Travion Henderson on one big play, and I say Stroud threw for something like 360. So overall, a really good run day and a gaudy pass day. I don't even think the attempts, right? I don't even think the attempts by Stroud. He was 31 for 38. So that's pretty stupid, right? 38 attempts and you throw for 365 touchdowns, no picks. And he wasn't even at his best. Caleb, I know what you were doing too. So don't think you were fooling me. I know what you were doing and you're not funny. What else, you guys? Do you guys want to talk about this 0 sacks? Do we want to deal with that? Do you want to deal with how Ohio State and all and granted, I know Purdue got the ball out fast. But do we want to talk about Ohio State and all its glory and all its 4- and 5-star recruiting and all its Larry Johnson, the greatest defensive line coach of all time? Do we want to talk about how we had 0 sacks today? Do we want to talk about how that's not okay? Do we? Very disrespectful to JT by comparing him to Shaw. JT is a legend. Shaw is not. Yeah. I'm not high on either, to be honest with you. But, JT at least is accomplished. But yeah, do you guys want to talk about 0 sacks? You can't have that. You have to, if you're not getting home with the D-line, you have to get home with some pressure. We brought very little blitzes. This obsession that we have with this 4-2-5 look, where Marcus Williamson is the 5th defensive back / 3rd linebacker. He's not awful, but you'd rather see an actual linebacker there, so you can blitz and run. Marcus Williamson is not running through a block by an offensive lineman or a tight end like a linebacker probably would. And it's not helpful that Steel Chambers, your best linebacker, is not extremely physically strong. It doesn't seem to be. So, but he's a great player, and you need him out there. Oh, we actually started him today. That was a great look too. But you got to get home. I don't know why we won't play 3 linebackers. People say, well, in today's game, they're throwing the ball a lot. We're stopping the run with the 4-2-5 look. So, but we're not stopping the pass. You realize that, right? We have this 4-2-5 look, and it's not helpful. We're not stopping the pass. It may be because we struggle to find 3 linebackers that can play consistently, or 4, playing 3 and then a 4th rotating in. That could be the case, but it's just odd to me that we cannot get pressure. We refuse to play 3 linebackers. I wonder if we play Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship, if we will go to a 4-3, playing Taraja Mitchell, Cody Simon, and Steel Chambers at the same time. Time for a 4-1-6. Perhaps we'd only give up 300 yards passing a game if we basically were in dime the whole time. I think that would be funny to see how in the world we would stop the run, but hey, it might be time for it, right? Maybe we can sit in zone even. No, what that would mean is we would just sit in zone even longer with no pressure and give up even more 3rd and longs and 2nd and longs and et cetera, et cetera. When I saw Purdue run the ball, I was just like, thanks. I guess you didn't really want – if you wanted to score, you'd have just thrown it on us. If you really want to move the ball, you just keep us honest. Don't keep us honest. we're good at stopping the run, and you guys aren't very good at doing it, right? 272, you want to go a little Ole Miss? You want to go a little Gary Patterson, a little Ole Miss, a little Northwestern? Just run the ball all you want, and just a bunch of defensive backs back there, like I think Washington ran that for a while. Maybe that's what we got to do. But it's not okay that we don't have any sacks, and we obviously have to step that up. I will say, you know what's interesting? So Georgia, as everybody talks about, number one defense. And it's really impressive because their offense isn't great. It's okay. But you imagine that's a lot of punting. It's a lot of putting the defense on the field, and they're allowing very little scoring. The scoring defense is stupid. Like, no one scored over 10 on them, I don't think. This is what's interesting, though. Sometimes, the NCAA does the stat of total defense as how many yards do you allow instead of points, because points don't take into consideration. What if the other team fumbled on their own 10? You got the ball on their 10 and you scored twice. Okay, that's a great scoring offense, but not really. You just move the ball 10 yards. It's like Iowa. They were scoring a decent amount of points, but it's on short fields. That wasn't a good offense. Scoring offense would tell you they were decent, I think, anyway. Total offense as far as yards would say they weren't decent. Anyways, I say that to say this. Wisconsin is now the number one defense in the country when it comes to yards per game. Now, I don't know how it will look tomorrow and what Georgia did today. I know they allowed about 10 to Tennessee, but isn't that crazy? Wisconsin, and get this, we knew to start the season how dreadfully bad their offense was. So that means you get a tired defense going out there over and over. And I haven't seen much to think they're a lot better. I know they're down their starting running back, and at Wisconsin, that really has to hurt. But even with all that being said, Wisconsin is the number one defense in the country. And I think they're really positioned to play Ohio State again for the Big Ten championship game. Ohio State's got two big hurdles here at the end of the season, because we know this Buckeye team is better than the two teams they'll play, but we also know they are inconsistent and young enough to get bitten by one of those teams if they do not take the game seriously, or they just have a bad night. You have units not firing on both cylinders, or all cylinders at the same time. But I do think it's very interesting that Wisconsin has crept up. That will make I would imagine that's going to be a CJ type of game because of the good defense he's going to face, and it'll be frustrating. If we want to run the ball consistently, I think Mayan needs at least 10 carries a game. You might be right. It's going to be hard. You take some from Trey, but I imagine, Nick, you mean you do that not just in garbage time, right? Because he had more carries than Trey tonight, but you saw like 7 of them were on the last drive. Yeah, you'd like to sprinkle him in there. You don't have to go the series for series thing, but maybe sprinkle him in when Trey gets 3 or 4 carries in a row, then you sprinkle him in. Or you can do a series here and there, all mine. The problem is no one's really going to get fatigued in this run game because it's not real good consistently sometimes. So if we throw the ball 6 times in a drive and run it twice, well, it's kind of hard to pull Trey because, he's not that tired. He only ran it twice, but you can throw mine in there even fresher, and he's good. And, you could say, hey, maybe you're a little better in the red zone, whatever. We don't have Chase Young or Joey Bosa back there. No, we don't. We don't have them, but I'm not asking for 20 sacks. I'm asking for 1. 1 would be a good start. We had 0. Zach Harrison is plenty good enough to get you some. And again, he didn't get any help. He didn't get any pressure from linebacker blitzes. A lot of double teams. Tyreek Smith and Zach Harrison are plenty good enough. Haskell Garrett's plenty good enough to get you a sack or 2 a game. The linebackers need to kind of push forward. Look, that's coaching, right? We're not calling the plays. I think at Ohio State, we have this trend of firing people a year too late, right? We did it too late with Kerry Combs. We did it too late with Tim Beck and Ed Werner. I hope we don't make the same mistake with Al Washington. I think you guys probably feel like I feel. Chris Drew on Menace to Morning Show made a good this is crazy. Steel Chambers is our best linebacker, right? Steel Chambers has also been coached by Al Washington the least amount of time. not good. And then there's a lot of other not good stuff that we've seen that I think it's time to move on. Wish the guy well. He'll know more about football than I ever will. It's time to move on. We won't do that though because we like to see it get really bad. Then we move on. It's time to move on. And honestly, Matt Barnes I was really happy with what I've seen from him so far. But this today wasn't great. 2 weeks ago wasn't great. Today wasn't great. So we'd like to see, it's put up or shut up time these last 2 weeks of the season. We have to let Coach Washington go when we had a chance. We did. We had a good chance. The thing is about that, excuse me. The thing is about that is I was all for keeping him in the offseason and, pulling him away from Tennessee, partly because I like to see Tennessee not get what they want. But part of me thought he was a really good linebackers coach, and now I'm just like, Now I can see though with the tough Borland stuff and the other things that coupled with this year, it was always there. It's time to move on. Our linebackers did far better than the early part of the season. Burke was bailing. I think our safeties are playing too soft. I think we have soft coverage issues. The linebackers are much better. Don't get me wrong. They're just still not kind of there. Look, you have one linebacker playing Ohio State caliber football. You have one, and he's the one that hasn't been coached by Al very long. You have one playing Ohio State caliber linebacker football. Cody Simon's lost in coverage most of the time. Taraja Mitchell has gone to not starting because Steele's so good. And Taraja's right there a lot of times. He's right there. He's just got to clean some stuff up sometimes. Tommy Eichenberg is getting good in a rotational role, but not starting caliber. And then part of it might be you're asking them to play in a 2 linebacker set. I think that's weird to ask guys to play in a set they probably haven't played before and introduce it that in a season. Maybe a little too cute there, right? But I think it's time to move on. Eichenberg's next tough Borland, but I think is much higher. Yeah, I think he's much better than tough already. Not as far as knowing what he can, knowing the playbook and knowing assignment, but I think he's more athletic, and I think he's already came a long way. Again, he's a good rotational linebacker. He'll be a starter one day. Cody Simon is solid. A lot of people think that, but if you look at when he's targeted in coverage and when he's put in conflict, again, another Menace Sports thing, he's really bad when he's targeted in coverage. It's shock. It's something. The last I looked, it was probably like 10 times targeted, 9 completions. It's pretty bad. At the Indiana game, you could see how he failed to get depth. But he, hopefully he's very athletic, very strong. He's young. Hopefully he'll get better. But I don't think playing in a 2 linebacker set helps him, and I think he's just got to get better in coverage. Naote is good. I think he's good. For some reason, the kid hardly sees the field, but he shows some promise. Again, not a guy that I'd want in only a 2 linebacker set. Hopefully we can get away from that. Eichenberg has improved. Yeah, a rotational guy. Expect more from Simon. You do, because he's really athletic. I think he'll get there. I think, next year, a little bit more improved Steel Chambers. Can you imagine? A little bit more improved Eichenberg, a little bit more improved Simon, or a lot. I think that's a really nice linebacking core. Tommy, yes, classic Tress linebacker. And again, you're playing with 3 guys there, so it's going to be, in my mind, easier. 2 of the last 3 touchdowns were due to defensive players running into each other. So that's weird. It seems like we play a lot of zone. We go back to man for at least one of them and get routed. And it's like, how did they know we were going to switch back to man when we were getting gashed in zone? I don't know. But they knew. Maybe we're in a zone. I don't know. Maybe we're in a first in, first out zone or whatever, where it looked like man. We got rubbed anyway. The other one looked like we were in cover 4. This wasn't a touchdown, but Cam Brown had David Pell get behind him, I think because he expected the safety to be over there in time. And Shaw to get over there and help over the top, but Bell just dropped it. If not, if the safety's job is not to climb all the way over there, then that's just a dumb call that you wouldn't have a go route defended on 4th down with an amazing receiver there. So, you know, I believe you. Yeah, simple fix for next week, but it never is. This is stuff Tulsa was beating us with. Tulsa was smashing us with man beaters. That was ages ago, right? It seems like we show our hand when we're in man or something and we get picked apart. It's a simple fix. I believe you, but we don't fix simple here. They did change up the play calls on the sidelines uh, for both the offense and defense. Weird. Maybe teams are okay. That might be it. And it may be just maybe something we show pre-snap that they figured out. Because in my mind, I'm like, man, we're getting zone. We just sit in zone all the time, and teams are figuring it out. And then I hear the announcers, "Oh, you get a rubber out here for a touchdown." I'm like, well, that shouldn't be with a zone, right? So, but I imagine in some zones, you're still kind of in sort of like a man concept when you're shallow and getting pushed away there. I think that's all. We've been about 45 minutes, guys. I've really appreciated you jumping in. As always, please subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a lot. We're going to have Coaching the Bullet. We're going to have myself one day. Hopefully, Corey and Shane will be back in here, and we'll do some stuff through the week, talking about recaps of the game, et cetera, and pregame, all kinds of stuff. Hopefully, do Coaching the Bullet again this week, and then we will be in Columbus this weekend. Myself, my wife, I think Coach Zach Smith, obviously will be there at his tailgate event, and we'll see about some game tickets and stuff. And again, I hope Josh Pate announces that he comes to Columbus this year. He would have came to the Penn State game, but Penn State lost the week before against Illinois. So thanks, James Franklin. You're doing what you always do and messing stuff up. I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining. As always, goodbye. God bless. Go Bucks.